Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. Allahumma aftah alayna hikmatak وانشر علينا رحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام آمين يا رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله. We will begin with Al-Murakkab Al-Idafi, possessive phrase. So in the previous lesson we covered the descriptive phrase Al-Murakkab Al-Tawsifi. Just to recap, I mentioned the Mawsuf is that which is described and the Sifah is the description. And this is an example of a Murakkab Ghair Mufid, incomplete phrase. For example, Rajulun Jamilun, beautiful man, a beautiful man. So this isn't a complete phrase. What about the beautiful man? Is he big? Is he small? Is he religious? Is he a Hafiz? Okay. And I mentioned that the Murakkab Tawsifi matches in four things: i'rab, gender, number, and in being ma'rifah and nakirah, specific, definite or indefinite. Al-Murakkab Al-Idafi, it's also a type of Murakkab Ghair Mufid. Another name for Murakkab Ghair Mufid is Murakkab Naqis, phrase, incomplete sentence, part of a sentence. It is a phrase in which the first word mudaf is attributed to the second one mudafun ilayh. In some cases this means that the second word owns or possesses the first. So in Murakkab Idafi you have two. You have the mudaf and you have the mudaf ilayh. Okay. There are a few rules to remember. It says the mudaf never gets an alif lam. So generally this is the rule. There are cases when the mudaf appears with the alif lam, but it's very rare. It's very rare. Okay. So mudaf, that which is possessed. Okay. And mudaf ilayh, possessor, one to whom the item belongs. Okay. So the owner, the possessor is the mudafun ilayh, and mudaf, that which is possessed. Okay. And the mudaf ilayh, it says, will always be majroor in the majroor state. Majroor, that noun, that word which ends with the i'rab of jarrun, we will say it is majroor. Majroor. Okay, for example, Kitabu Zaydin, Zayd's book. Zayd's book. So who's the owner? Who's the possessor? Zayd. So Zayd is the mudafun ilayh, and what is possessed, what is owned? Book. So book is mudaf. Kitabu Zaydin, Zayd's book. So in Arabic you have the mudaf first, then the mudaf ilayh. But in English you have the mudaf ilayh first when you translate, and then the mudaf. Even in Urdu, in Urdu we will say Zayd ki kitab. Zayd ki kitab. Okay. English, Zayd's book, but in Arabic you'll add kitab first. Kitabu Zaydin. So kitab is mudaf and Zayd is mudaf ilayh. And look, kitab, has it got a tanween? No, it's mudaf. The mudaf doesn't take tanween generally. This is the rule. So kitabu, and the mudaf ilayh is Zayd. Zaydin, it's majroor. It's ending with the sign of jar, which is the kasra below the dal. Two kasras, tanween, kasra below the dal. So Zayd is majroor and it is the mudaf ilayh. So Zayd's book, Kitabu Zaydin. This is a type of Murakkab Naqis. Yeah, murakkab idafi. Zaid's book is not a complete sentence. Yeah, phrase, part of a sentence. Okay. What about Zaid's book? So it's not a complete sentence. Okay, he says the i'rab of the mudaf will be according to the amil governing it. For example, wajadtu kitaba Zaydin, I found Zayd's book. So we know about the i'rab of the mudafun ilayh. It will always be majroor. But the mudaf can be majroor, it can be mansoob, or it can be marfu' according to the amil. Amil, the governing word, that word which causes change in the i'rab, in the word after it. Yeah? For example, I say wajadtu. Wajadtu means I found. It's a fi'l, yeah? Fi'l madi, past tense verb from wajada yajidu. Yeah? He found. Okay, wajadtu, I found. Okay, I found. What did I find? Zayd's book. Yeah? So the action of finding has taken place on Zayd's book. Yeah? So the book of Zayd is the maf'ul upon which the action takes place. And we previously learned that the maf'ul will be mansoob. Okay? So here the maf'ul is kitaba Zaydin, the mudaf, murakkab idafi, kitaba Zaydin, Zayd's book. Yeah? Wajadtu, I found. What did I find? Kitaba Zaydin, Zayd's book. Zayd's book. So here you see kitab, the mudaf, it's kitaba. This is mansoob. Yeah? It's ending with the i'rab of nasbun, which is the fatha on the ba. Why is it mansoob? Because it's maf'ul. Yeah? Maf'ul. Okay, kitaba. And Zaydin, why is Zaydin majroor? Because it's mudaf ilayh. And the mudaf ilayh we mentioned will always be majroor. That's why it is Zaydin. So wajadtu, wajada is the fi'l. The tu dhamir is the fa'il. Yeah? First person, singular and feminine. Yeah? Wajadtu, I found. Okay? So kitaba is mudaf and Zaydin is mudaf ilay, and this will become the maf'ul bihi of the fi'l. Okay? And this is a jumla fi'liya khabariya, verbal sentence. How do we know? Because the sentence has begun with a fi'l, a verb, and that sentence which begins with a fi'l, a verb, we will call it a verbal sentence. Jumla fi'liya khabariya. Okay. Note, sometimes many mudaf and mudaf ilayh are found in a single phrase. For example, babu bayti rajul. So here the translation will be the door of the man's house. So here babu is mudaf, bayti is mudaf ilayh, and it is also mudaf. And then you have ar-rajuli, which is the mudaf ilayh of bayt. Okay? So the door of the man's house. Babu means door, bayt house, ar-rajul the man. Okay? Okay. So the door of the man's house. Now in Urdu, to recognize the mudaf ilayh, you will have ka ki ke before it. Yeah? Zaid ki kitab, uska bab. Okay? You have ka ki ke coming before the mudaf, coming before the mudafun ilayh. If the mudaf has a sifa, then it should come immediately after the mudafun ilayh with an alif lam and should have the same i'rab as that of the mudaf. Okay, so remember, the mudaf ilayh will always come after the mudaf. You can't have a separation between the mudaf and the mudafun ilayh. Whereas the mawsoof sifa, there can be a separation. There can be a separation, but the mudaf and mudaf ilayh will always come together. Now if you want to add a sifa of the mudaf, okay, then you'll add it after the mudaf ilayh, okay. And if you want to add a sifa of the mudafun ilayh, then that will come straight after the mudaf ilayh. So I'll go through that again. If you want to add a sifa of the mudaf, sifa description of the mudaf, then you will add it after the mudaf ilayh. And if you want to add a sifa of the mudafun ilayh, then you will add it after the mudafun ilayh. So look, first example, okay. So we are looking at number 2, yeah. If the mudaf has a sifa, then it should come immediately after the mudafun ilayh with an alif lam, okay, and should have the same i'rab as that of the mudaf, okay, because the mawsuf sifa match in i'rab. So look, babul baytil jadidu, babul baytil jadidu. So here al jadid is the sifa of the mudaf bab, okay. It has the same i'rab, it is marfu' ending with dhamma, and bab is also marfu', okay. Now you might ask, well, al jadid has alif lam, why doesn't bab have alif lam? If al jadid is the sifa of bab, it should have the same, it should be ma'rifa alif lam. Mudaf doesn't have alif lam, remember this, yeah. Generally it doesn't have alif lam. And if the mudaf has a ma'rifa mudaf ilayh coming after it, then the mudaf will become ma'rifa, okay. So you have al bayti coming after the mudaf bab, and it's ma'rifa, hence the mudaf will also be ma'rifa, okay. So hence the mudaf is ma'rifa, the sifa is also ma'rifa, yeah. So babul bayti, and alif lam on the sifa of the mudaf, yeah, al jadidu. So if you want to add a sifa of the mudaf, you will add it after the mudaf ilayh with an alif lam. So babu is mudaf, al bayti mudaf ilayh, al jadidu is the sifa of the mudaf. So babu, door, al bayt, the house, al jadid, new. So you will translate as the new door of the house, the new door of the house, babul baytil jadidu. Okay. And babu is marfu', al jadidu, the sifa is marfu'. Babu is a ma'rifa, like I mentioned, because it's mudaf ilayh is ma'rifa, and al jadid, the sifa of the mudaf, is also ma'rifa. The bab mawsuf is singular, the sifa is also singular. The mawsuf bab, okay, it's mudhakkar, the sifa is also mudhakkar, okay. And why do we have babul bayti? Why is it bayti? Because it's mudaf ilay, it's majroor, yeah. Okay, if the mudaf ilay has a sifa, then it should come immediately after the mudafun ilay and should correspond to it, the mudaf ilay, in the 4 aspects mentioned earlier. For example, babul baytil jadidi, the door of the new house, okay. So the door of the new house, babu means door, al bayt the house, al jadid new. So babu is mudaf, al bayt mawsuf, and al jadid is the sifa, and this after becoming a murakkab tawsifi will become the mudaf ilayh of bab, okay. So the door of the new house. So al bayti, the mudaf ilayh, its sifa is coming after it, yeah. The sifa of the mudaf ilayh comes straight after it, after the mudaf ilayh, okay. And both are matching in i'rab. Al bayti is majroor, al jadid, the sifa, is majroor. Al bayti is mudhakkar, al jadid is mudhakkar, masculine. Al bayti is mufrad, singular. Al jadid is singular. Al bayti is ma'rifa, and the sifa al jadidi is also ma'rifa. So this is a murakkab tawsifi descriptive phrase, and then this will become the mudaf ilayh of the mudaf bab. Okay, babul baytil jadidi, the door of the new house. Okay, we'll stop there. Allah Almighty grant me and grant us all Muslims ilm nafi', beneficial knowledge, knowledge that will benefit us in this life and in the hereafter, and grant us the ability to act upon the religious knowledge we attain and to spread the religious knowledge to our family members, to our relatives, our friends with good intentions. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.